Go. Welcome everyone to Shelter in the Midst of the Storm. It might feel a little stormy out there to some of you. So we're going to see if we can abate some of that. Very 80s. Yeah, my kids grew up in the 80s. So that's kind of my era. I graduated in the 70s. But thank you. Thank you for that compliment. When you say things like that, you're glad for any of those compliments. Okay, let's call in sacred space. All right, everybody, this will make you feel better. Take a big, deep breath. And then take another one. And as you exhale, send your roots down. Feel your body drop. And just let mom begin to pull you, hold you. When I say send your roots down, feel her, okay? There's your support. Now, inhale. Draw her energy up through your body. Send it up and out through the top of the head. Connect with the heart of the divine mother above you. So you have it at both ends. Inhale again. Pull that divine cosmic energy down and exhale it down through your roots, all the way down into the earth, activating that as above, so below, and then all the way up and down. That runs through your body. That's your life force. Now connect to that flow. And then holding it. Breathing in, breathing out. Activate the as within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. Moving to the north, we welcome Mother Earth. We give such great thanks to be in the physical right now. Moving to the south, we welcome water. We welcome clear, clean current, emotional energy. We welcome love and joy and abundance and flow into our circle. Moving to the west, we welcome air and mind, focus, clarity, guidance, all of our etheric allies and angels. Moving to the east, we welcome fire and movement, passion, divine right action. Moving to the center, we call in the divine feminine and the divine masculine in sacred right relationship. We call that beautiful energy down through our bodies. We call up Mama Gaia to pull and magnetize that energy through us. And we welcome our own sweet, extraordinary souls into this circle. We ask that all of these energies be with us, pray with us, dance and move with us today for our mutual benefit. So everybody get up and move your body, shake it around, really move the energy. Come on, it's gonna play soon, I promise. Yeah, that feels better already. Okay. So, question. Any of you been feeling like this a little bit? I think we started feeling like this in 2020. And we've kind of done this thing. We think things are getting better, and then we go down again. And when that Pluto went direct in Capricorn, I think a lot of us, we kind of hit the wall a little bit. Even though that should have felt better, it didn't. And hold on, I'm going to try to read the chat. It says, oh, Jessica. Hello, Miss Jessica. Good to see you. Yes, I understand completely. She says the last few days have been hell for me when I've been doing really well for many months, no matter what was happening. Yeah, and it can be like that. It's a little bumpy out there now. And I think all of you know this, but I wanted to give us a forum to talk about it a little bit and to, talk about how you can maybe improve your situation, be able to navigate it a little bit better. So I want you to look at these pictures. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Elizabeth, but I can so relate. And I can't tell you, I have had texts and emails from people saying those exact words to me. So I want you to look at these pictures. They're scary pictures. They're pictures we don't like to see. But just a little reminder, everyone, all of us grew up and have been living in this world I would never call what's going on this planet and what's gone on for the past 20, 30 years as copacetic. But at least here in the West, it is felt generally stable, and it doesn't feel that way anymore. Awesome. At any rate, and I know that especially if you're in a female body or identify as female, you feel these things deeper. We feel more of it, and you can't really put your finger on what it is. It just feels heavy. So this is what's happening globally. We are in the midst. Some people call this transformation, and yes, it is. Some people call this, they call it a lot of things, but it's a dark night of the soul for the planet. All of us have experienced these before. Personally, none of us ever really like them. I used to love what one of my teachers used to say about how this, which is usually, I call it my Scorpio dark dives. She says, it's no respecter of persons. Everybody's fair game. And if it's going to take you down, it's going to take you down. And you can't escape. You can try to avoid it, and that'll just make it worse. I was going to say living hell. Okay, honey, all of you, bless your hearts. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just identifying with you. So I want you to look at all these pictures. Every single thing you see here is a consequence of human choices. I know tornado doesn't seem like a consequence of human choices, and yet we've been messing with the weather for way too many years. So the weather's becoming more intense. We've been misbehaving on this planet, not taking into consideration all the other sentient beings on this planet. And here we are. We're looking at the consequences of this. So when I used to have this horrible love-hate relationship with Capricorn, which is what Pluto is in right now. Pretty much, Saturn, all of those structures, you got to follow the rules kind of energies. I'm a Gemini and I rebelled, and I've rebelled all my life. So I didn't like those messages. And I finally, in order to make peace with Saturn and Capricorn and how it shows up in my life, I had to begin to see that energy as the grandmothers, like a governing body of grandmothers that hold and contain this planet. That, grandmothers are different than moms. Grandmothers are, mostly have a tendency, in my experience, to be a little gentler, a little more laid back, a little easygoing. And they'll let you go, they'll let you go to the end of the leash. They'll let you make choices out there. And then eventually they're going to go, yo, if you keep doing this, it could get a little, you're going to have to, eventually you're going to have to suffer the consequences of your choices. That's what all of this is. And all of you, if you are in or identify as a female, you're feeling this. I mean, and probably even males are feeling this, but females especially, because our bodies are made to balance this, and it's way out of balance. Well, they're here in rare form because this is the time, Pluto is all about lessons. So when it goes direct in Capricorn, it's like, okay, here's the choices you've made. Here's the consequences. You need to begin to make some changes. Those can be global and those can be personal. But those of you that are in, that are feeling this and that feel like life is just, that's why. Now, every time this happens, it's a call from the divine. If I didn't know this, I would think God has hated me. But it's just a reminder that there's more for us. Every single time I've experienced a dark night of the soul, it's been a call to go deeper, a call to listen and probably make some changes. But every single time when I surrender to it, I come up with more energy, more light, a higher vibration, and a better set of habits that are going to sustain me. And, if I wasn't such a rebellious child, my life might be a little easier. But that's the long and short of it. And if you're going to live in the physical realm, you came here to transform. Your soul came here to change things, to up level. And we're choosing to do that through physical experience. I used to have a plaque. I actually made it for my brother, and it said, he never said it would be easy. So sometimes we go through emotional turmoil to get our attention. So I'm going to take you on a trip down memory lane for just a little bit. Most of you, this is me back in younger days. Whew. I have been, gosh, I don't even want to say how long I've been doing this, at least 30 years. I've actually really more, probably 40. I've been a mentor to women and the men that love them for at least that long. I started my career at a domestic violence shelter because I was a survivor of domestic violence. And I did that for about 10 years. So my whole life has been built around mentoring predominantly women, but coaching the men that hang out with them. And I did that through empowerment retreats and online classes and in-person classes and energy healing and, a whole gamut of things. The heart and soul of my training and my teaching for a long time was Indigenous ceremony. And I still teach medicine wheel practices. I still attend Inipi ceremonies or sweat lodges. I ran fire walks for a while. So my connection to the earth is strong. So I feel like I know her to a certain degree. And that is not what I brought in with me, but she grabbed me and took me and said, this is what you're going to do. So this is what you know about me now. This was the history. This is what I've been doing forever. But you don't know the backstory. And I'm going to tell you the backstory. For 15 years, actually 20, going on 20 now, I did all this without the support of anyone mentoring me, except the earth and my guides. Dumb, really dumb. I was broke. I was broken. And I did it without the support, the vibrational support of the priestess process, basically because I didn't know I needed it. It's like I just willed myself forward. Dumb, again. Back then, there wasn't anyone saying, yeah, hey, yo, you should do this. It was just me. And so I just kept going. I was driven by some inner push. Now I know it was mama, but back then I couldn't really even tell you. And we managed, there wasn't a big splash and we had to work really hard to make ends meet, but we managed. And then the bottom dropped out. I mean, wow, big. So I had women's circles running. I had all these things going. And there was this big, ginormous dark night of the soul. Now, what you don't know is that way back here, I had been given an opportunity to do the priestess process. I had seen it. There was someone right down the highway from me that was teaching it in her home. And oh my goodness, I wanted to go. But like I said, things were tight. So I didn't do it. And I just went on my own. So she kind of waved at me, the priestess archetype. She waved and she said, yo, you want to come and join us? And I was just like, I got to keep doing this. I got to keep working. Well, this went on for years. And then, like I said, all of a sudden, there was nothing. There was no income. It all just dried up. I had active women's circles and nobody was mad. There wasn't any big blow up. People just stopped coming. Clients just stopped coming. So it got to the point where I kept the business open, but I went and got a job. And because I had to pay the bills. I mean, I went and got 3D land 9-to-5 job. And I was in the basement, low. And whenever that happens for me, I always go to my spiritual mentor, Mary Magdalene. So one day, I can still remember, it was in August. And I just Googled Mary Magdalene. And Lisa Michaels, that was the first thing that came up, was Lisa. And she was teaching the priestess process online. You know, this is years later. And so suddenly there was, it's like she threw me a lifeline, because this literally saved my life. So she was offering this process online so I could take it. I was having, I had regular income, so I could afford it. There were no more excuses. She took all the excuses away. And I dove in. And it changed everything. Absolutely everything. So I want to tell you a little bit about what this process is and give you a chance to ask questions, those of you that are here, if you'd like to. Because, and right now, I'm just going to lay it out. It's like all of us that do this, and now there are thousands all over the world. I can say that confidently. We really don't know how to describe it, how to tell you exactly what it is. So I've opted to give you its originator's version of a definition. So a lady by the name of Nicole Christine got the priestess process as a download after she had gone through a training with a lady who was a priestess that could trace her lineage all the way back to Isis. And this just popped in. And these are her words. She has left the planet, but oh my goodness, is she present with us still? I could tell you stories. At any rate, this is what she says. The priestess process is a living intelligence, expressing and enlivening in the initiatory process for women and men, open to an entirely new, direct spiritual experience. It's a 9-month-long alchemical attunement that assists individuals to embrace their own inner authority and co-creative divinity through the balance of the inner masculine and the inner feminine. Now, these are things, they sound all cool and flowery, but oh my Lord, are they practical, and we don't do them. There are many practices that I teach in Sacred Rhythms that should be as natural for humans, especially female humans, as brushing our teeth, as combing our hair, as getting dressed in the morning. And we don't do them because we don't know they're important. And at this point, what I know now is that the practices embedded in priestess are absolutely necessary for our mental, physical, and emotional well-being, especially as women, and possibly for planetary survival. And I'll go on with that in a minute. So at any rate, I interrupted Nicole. It helps you work with the power of sacred intent. So you learn how to do co-creation of living ceremony versus not living ceremony. And at the end, you self-proclaim as a priestess upon the fulfillment of that initiatory cycle, which is pretty long. You go on to like cook in the cauldron of the priestess for a year and a day after you emerge. So it's an intense process, but oh, so necessary. It's an attunement to the divine feminine. When you know, the pictures that we were looking at where I said, this is a consequence of human behavior. The reason, I believe, one of the reasons that we have such a propensity to color outside the lines or do things that are going to be destructive for us is because there's been an absence of the divine feminine on this planet for way too long. And so what this is a reacquainting with her and a reestablishment of her presence here, because it's one thing, you know, part of when we see the storms out there, I always think, you know, oh my goodness, she's making her presence known and we're not paying attention. So she's going to try to get our attention. And she's doing it. She's cleaning house. So her presence needs to be more than just a concept, more than just an acknowledgement or a witnessing. It has to physiologically channel all the way through many female bodies and ground upon this earth. It just has to. Physiologically and every other way, that has to happen. Think about it. This planet tootled along famously in balance for centuries. And it's taken us just a couple, 2 or 3 centuries to pretty much destroy life as we know it here. And it's not because we're bad or we have evil intent. It's because we've forgotten fundamental practices that would keep us and our partners and all of humanity in balance. So the process is just that, a process. That's why we spend so much time together. I call it jumping into the cauldron. We are in a container of the priestess that works us and not the other way around. We learn things. We gather together every week. We take periodic breaks, but every week we're together in the cauldron. Now, that process is working us, but we're not processing, at least not in the group. We're processing our own personal stuff, but this is a coming in of a fluidly enlivening archetypal level. And it's an honoring of the sacred union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, both within us and above and below us. Okay? Nurturing spiritual awakening, personal discovery, alchemical creation, and soul expansion. And what I know about it is that it gives you access to more. It opens channels that have been closed. It activates codes that have been asleep. You begin to remember who you really are and what you really came here for. And besides that, you are empowered to act. Whereas before, you might have just been willing yourself. You might have just been flopping around, wondering how in the heck am I ever supposed to do that? So it is a global, hugely global lineage. This is a tiny little droplet of those of us, you know, in the Atlanta area and the Virginia area and the Midwest that, we gather periodically around here, but there are circles all over the globe from this lineage line. And this is Nicole. This is the lady that began it years and years ago, back in the late 80s, I believe. And this is Lisa, my spiritual priestess mentor. So, should you Elizabeth, yes, give me a minute to get to that part, and then I am going to open this up so you can ask questions and share if you want to. If you chose to participate in this priestess process, you would experience, without a doubt, a deepening of your spiritual experience, a safe place to sort out your journey and get realigned with who you are, a reconnection to the divine, an introduction to working with the alchemical forces of creation, just like when we do our full moon ceremonies and we play with that card deck. You learn that the elemental forces are active and alive. An in-depth look, and you learn to read your own astrology chart so that you can begin to work alchemically with your own personal creation team. We do a shamanic death and rebirth, and there's so many more activities. But beyond that, what happens, it's like a weaving together of your internal workings that have never got a chance to weave together before. And I've watched it over and over and over again. I've had people that have been in other classes that half of them took this class, half of them did it and didn't. And then when they would come together in, this healing class, they could all see the difference, to the point that the ones that hadn't signed up the next year, because there's this alchemical transformation that happens inside of you. And it's as if you don't want to miss it. So what happened for me, the first year, suddenly I had a new office, a new car. I'd been, I had the job. I eventually got to quit the job, go back to my business, put my business online, which was something I'd always wanted to do, but never been able to do. I was invited to teach under my priestess mentor. And then I went on, she gave me everything. And I went on to carry the ball. And now that's pretty much all I do. I do a little energy work training and I do some healing work, but it was like an awakening. And I knew that my job had always been to empower women, even back at the shelter, but this was the way, and this was the tool. And what I realized is that I had lived half of my life and had done a lot of really cool things. People loved the ceremonies. They loved coming to sweats. They loved coming to fire walks. But it was taking a toll on my physical body. And I couldn't do it on my own anymore. And I had all of these really cool tools, but I had been doing it without the benefit and the support of a circle and the benefit of the attunements of the priestess. Now, what I know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that the priestess process, the primary purpose of a priestess on this planet, or what that word means, is a conduit between heaven and earth. Our bodies are designed to be hollow bones, and we're designed to channel spiritual information in all its forms and anchor it to this planet, just like the trees outside. that draw in the sun and pull that life force energy down and source the planet. That's what we're designed to do. We're the batteries. But we've all gone inside, we've put our tennis shoes on, and we've separated ourselves from this planet. And, we've kind of pulled the covers over our head, and to the point that, there's no blame here. Our mothers didn't know, our grandmothers didn't know, their grandmothers didn't know the practices that are necessary for the survival of this planet. And they're not hard. It's not rocket science, but it's going to take the turning back of women to their mother. It's going to take that to stabilize this planet. And so even if your job isn't to do some big thing that is going to turn the tide on some of those problems, if you were born or identify female, your job is to basically run that energy through your body, run that light, be consciously aware and connected to the earth, and let her support you. So, temple doors to the priestess process are open right now. Last one in 2022. Do any of you have questions or anything you'd like to share? Just either raise your hand or unmute or talk in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer your questions or entertain processing a little bit. Anybody? Elizabeth, go ahead, sweetheart. Unmute yourself.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. This sounds really compelling. And my specific question, like all the spiritual stuff sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
My specific question is around the boundaries of sharing, because without going into a lot of detail, I've been in another priestess program online for the past year.
Mm-hmm.
And although there are many wonderful things about it energetically on a sort of on an etheric level, there are these very specific rules that feel kind of rigid to me. And one of them is we cannot share anything about our personal lives. We can't say where we live or what we do. We have to always speak from this place of soul. And I just find it very frustrating because I don't know the other so-called sisters. I don't feel a connection with them. I'm an extrovert and a Scorpio, and it's had that piece missing from it.
I totally understand. I would say, and I am sure, depending on the size of that circle, and my circles are relatively small.
Yeah.
But depending on the size of that circle, she has her reasons for not doing that. And it may be safety. It could be all kinds of things. I don't want to, it's like, I don't even know that I put this boundary. It just always naturally shows up. But there's always time for a check-in. Because the process that I offer is pretty darn intense. We don't do anything in there. We don't do intense things. But when I say you jump into the cauldron, you jump into the cauldron. And it's for the purpose of up-leveling you on every level, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So, and I also, my circle comes with a bunch of bonuses. So you get sacred rhythms. I highly encourage women to do sacred rhythms. You get body wisdom boot camp, all of these things to support this process, because your body needs to be physically, mentally, and emotionally ready. I couldn't do that and not give you a place to talk or to share. I mean, we don't do a lot of it in class, but you get a healing with me. And, you know, there's options for more of those if you need them. We exchange emails and phone numbers.
Oh, great.
Sometimes do a WhatsApp. Now, you know, there are a few rules about respecting people's boundaries.
Sure.
Do make it safe for people to share that. They don't have to share it if they don't want to,
Right.
but that's highly encouraged in this circle. And really and truly, there are other things that we do in there that by the time you're finished, you have a bond with a circle of women that will never leave. And that's why we all get together. It's like we all got to find a place to just go touch each other.
Oh, great. So is there some getting together in person?
Not in the individual circles, but usually there's an online convergence once a year, and then every other year or every 3 years, we find a physical place and we all go and do a retreat together. So it's not just our little circles in my part, but it's all those women that you saw, they all have circles and we all come together, like the whole lineage line. I think that happened in some place near Atlanta a few years ago. So it's like there's a bond that builds in this particular lineage that I wouldn't trade. I have some of my best friends are my priestess sisters.
Oh, good. So you do get to know other women.
Oh, yeah. And not just in my circle. You're on the Facebook page with all the other women. I mean, not just your individual circle, but all my other circles. And then there's another Facebook page that's connected to Nicole Christine's lineage line. So you get women all over the world.
Okay. And how long? I know it's 9 months, the first thing, but you said it's once a week. Is it several hours?
1 hour. No,
1 hour.
There, yeah, it's just like 1 hour, we get together, there's a topic that we learn on. You may have a little bit of homework, but not much, because the process itself is working you. There's not a whole lot you have to do. There's a couple of things that are requirements, but not a whole lot.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for those of you that wanted to learn more about it, I'm getting ready to show a slide that has the links for the page, and actually the email that you received notification of this. If you just scroll down a little bit, there's information. You can go to the page that has information about the process. Does anybody else have questions? Elizabeth, thank you for those. And you can raise your hand or you can, Marlene!
Hey,
How
hey,
are you?
hi, hi, great to see you, Kathy, and
Good to see you.
everyone.
So
And-
Marlene is a high priestess in this lineage. So good to have you on,
Well,
Marlene.
I really enjoyed years to it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm one of those why people, and so you brought up something today that I'm going to get to ceremony a couple of years ago, but you saying something today, it matches completely. And so there I was the day after my ceremony, or during it, but it was almost like I looked at myself and I saw that I was a clay vessel and it was hollow. And yet it was just this surge of energy coming through me. And it was an incredible feeling. And I've never heard anyone earlier about the priest a channeling from heaven to earth
Mhm.
information. And so I just would like to know, could you still elaborate maybe a little bit more about that piece, and what is that information anyway, even if it can't be put in?
Okay, and Marlene, I'm going to tell you that you've been breaking up, but I think I've got your question. So I'm going to try to answer it. And Marlene, you were with me for 2 years. We talked about this all the time. But my point is that the information that you pull through is going to be unique to you. Remember, you said you felt that big surge of energy. That surge of energy contained all kinds of codes and information that maybe you were aware of at that time, and maybe you weren't, and probably you weren't. But it will show up for you later on, and I know that it has, as epiphanies and internal knowing and wisdom that, you may think you read it in a book or you came across it from somewhere else. You don't know where it comes from, but that channeling of information, once we cleared that passageway in you, which we did, now it's open. It's open, it's running, you can access that anytime you want, and you know how to do it. And you can always show up for sacred rhythms. You can show up for some of those things that you used to do anytime you want to, if you want to plug back in.
Thank you. The course is highly recommended. I loved it. It just transformed me and brought me to a whole nother existence that is still here now. We could just get so caught in that rat race. I'm
Wow.
grateful that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
honey. Carol, did you train under Sarah? Carol says that she emerged in Nicole's lineage line in 2012 and High Priestess in 2014. And my guess is you trained under Sarah Estelle.
Hello. Hello, Kathy.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I was trained by Rosine Fievé
Wow. I
and
don't know
Shanti
her.
Gilbert.
Interesting. I know I initiated a lady by the name of Sarah Estelle, and she lived in France. Yeah, she was from England, and then she moved to France, and she runs a flower essence program. And so I
in
just
south of France.
Yeah.
In south of France. Yes, I know her.
And so I just always assume if they come from France, Sarah's trained them. She was actually in my class. So I consider all of her priestesses my grandbabies.
Ah.
But thank you for the kind words.
Rosine is a facilitator here in France also since 2011, I believe.
Beautiful.
And she was initiated by Shanti Gilbert.
Beautiful.
And she met Nicole Christine. I didn't.
I didn't either. I missed it. If I would have joined at the beginning, when they first, I would have got to meet her. But
right. And I know Kayleen Castell very well also.
Awesome. Awesome. She's one of my dear friends. And she's one of the ones that we get to go see whenever we all get together. Kaylin and I always get together at those priestesses.
That's right. And so I'm very happy to say that for all these years, this community is just so beautiful. And it's lovely to have connected with you also, Kathy. I enjoy your videos, your Zooms when I can connect.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Carol, and thanks for sharing what you shared.
Pleasure. I'm there for support.
So if any of you are interested and you want to ask more questions, you can always, there's a link for you on the email, and I'll send this out again. I'll send out the recording where you can sign up for a conversation, if you want to sign up for a conversation with me to learn more about the process. If you want to learn more and you don't want to have a conversation, you can just go straight to the New Earth Priestess page and learn more about it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to close the circle, but before we do that, I'm going to give us all an opportunity to get up and dance again. So let's get up and integrate all this good priestess juju and dance. Here we go. All right, ladies. I give thanks to the elemental forces for holding space for us today. I give such great thanks for these beautiful souls that are stepping up to do their sacred work. And I close this circle in the light. All right, loves. I'll see you soon. See you soon.